Alright, now let's continue with trigonometric functions. The first one is cosine function. The chain rule for cosine function is derivative of the angle multiplied by negative sine. Derivative of cosine is derivative of the angle multiplied by negative sine of the same angle. Okay, cosine x, its derivative in this case is derivative of the angle, which is 1, minus sine x. So cosine becomes negative sine, sine becomes negative cosine in taking derivative. Okay, the next one, it is still cosine, so the answer will be negative. Derivative of the angle, 3x over 2, its derivative is 3 over 2 times sine of the same angle. You may change the trigonometric function from cosine to sine, but you don't change the angle. Angle stays same. You just take the derivative of the angle. Okay, next question, cosine x squared. So there's a power here. The power belongs to only the angle, only for x. So derivative of cosine is negative sine of this angle multiplied by derivative of the angle. What is derivative of x squared? It is 2x. So negative 2x sine x squared. Okay, whenever you have cosine, its derivative is negative sine multiplied by derivative of the angle. So what if we have square for cosine, not just for the angle? The square is for cosine. So it is same as cosine x to the power of 2. So this square belongs to the whole function. It doesn't belong to x only, it's for the whole function. So in this case, we're going to apply power rule. Okay, let's apply power rule. According to the power rule, we'll bring the power down in front to cosine x, multiply it by derivative of the base. So what is derivative of cosine in this case? It's negative sine x. So it becomes negative 2 cosine x sine x. That's an answer. We may rewrite this result as by using one of the trigonometric identities. 2 cosine times sine is one of the identities that you studied in grade 11 or grade 10. It is sine 2x. Okay, so those two are equivalent. Your answer may be different than what you get, but it actually might be the equivalent answer, but you just need to simplify a bit, rewrite it a bit so it looks different. So in this question, if we don't see this answer in options, negative 2 cosine x sine x, we should rewrite it by using trigonometric identities, which gives you sine 2x. So 2 sine x cosine x is equal to sine 2x is one of the trigonometric identities. That's important. We need to know this because we don't have the answer in options sometimes. We should rewrite it. And we also need to be careful about the powers. So having the power for angle is not same as having the power for the function. They are totally two different things, and their derivative is also different. So be careful. Okay, let's continue with a nice question involving cosine and ln natural logarithm. So we have ln square root 2 plus cosine squared x. In the previous lesson, we studied how to take derivative of natural logarithmic functions. We need to take derivative of the angle divided by the angle itself. So you take derivative of the angle, which involves radical. It involves division. So we have division inside division. We apply the rule. We solve this division and stuff. We have a lot of simplification, so this will be the answer. And I'm gonna explain another way. I think this is longer and confusing. Steps are so much. I am going to show you another way. So the second way of solving this question, other than doing the derivative in the first place, we rewrite the function in the first place. So what do I mean by that? I have radical here. So remember, square root of x is x to the power of half. So we will use that idea. There is radical, so let's get rid of the square root by writing this as rational exponent. So that's equal to ln 2 plus cosine squared x to the power of half. And now I'm going to remind you another property of logarithm. It says if you have a power of the angle, you can bring the power down in front to ln x. So by using the same idea, same property, I have a power of the angle here as 1 over 2. I can bring that power down in front. So f of x becomes 1 over 2 times ln 2 plus cosine squared. Now my function is rewritten. I can take its derivative in much more easier way than the original function. Okay, taking derivative of this is easier than taking derivative of this. So let's start taking derivative. Now f prime of x equals coefficient stays times derivative of natural logarithm is derivative of the angle. Derivative of 2 is 0. Cosine squared is 2 cosine x times minus sine x, right? There's a power. Let's get rid of the power first. Bring the power down in front and take derivative of the base. So 2 cosine x times derivative of cosine is minus sine. Divided by the angle itself. 2 plus cosine squared x. Okay, now I have 2 at the bottom. 2 at the top, they'll cancel each other. So I have cosine x minus sine x divided by 2 plus cosine squared x. That's it. That's my answer. Alright. So I didn't deal with dividing and stuff. I directly found my answer after I simplify the function. Alright. Another question, test prep question. It's such a confusing question. We have a lot of powers. We have powers in the angle. We have powers of the function. What is dy over dx? Remember, dy over dx indicates derivative, y prime. So you take derivative. How do you take derivative? If there is a power of the function, the first thing to do is getting rid of the power. So bring the power down in front. The power is 2. Bring the power down in front. So it's 2 cosine. Reduce the power by 1. It's 1. X cubed plus x squared. I am not done. I will continue with derivative of the base. So what is derivative of the cosine? It's negative sine of the same angle multiplied by derivative of the inside. What is derivative of the angle? Derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. X squared is 2x. So that's my answer. Let's simplify this a bit. So let's put negative in front. Number also in front. They're just 2. And this factor also should be put in front. Multiplied by cosine times sine. So some students have difficulties in solving this question because there are many powers. So you should go step by step. First thing to do is getting rid of the power. So we start from the most outside thing. The most outside thing in this question is you consider this power as a power of the whole function. This power is the most outside thing. You start from the most outside thing. It's like peeling off the layers of onion. You start at the outer layer and you go through the inside. So you start from the power and you go in the inside. So 2 in front, decrease the power by 1. You got this. And about the chain rule, you continue taking derivative of the base. So it becomes minus sine of this. So this has also a derivative. Multiply it by the derivative. So when you clear the things a little bit, it's negative 2 3x squared plus 2x times cosine of this angle times sine of the same angle. So option C would be true. All right. Okay, let's continue with another trigonometric function, sine function. The idea is similar. The derivative of sine function is cosine function multiplied by derivative of the angle. Okay, cosine multiplied by derivative of the angle. We don't have minus this time. Derivative of cosine has minus, but derivative of sine does not. So derivative of sine is just cosine x, because the derivative of the angle is 1, doesn't have an effect. When there is a power, what happens? You apply power rule first. You start on the most outside thing. So 2 times, no, it was 3, right? 3 times sine, decrease the power by 1, squared x. I am not done. Multiplied by derivative of the base. Derivative of sine is just cosine. That's your answer. Next question also has power. Bring down the power in front first. 4 sine. Reduce the power by 1. 4 minus 1, 3. 5x. I'm not done. Multiply it by derivative of the base, which is cosine. I cannot fit in here. Times cosine 5x. Multiplied by derivative of the inside, derivative of the angle, which is 5. So let's clear this a bit. 5 by 4, 20. Sine cubed 5x times cosine 5x. That's it. I'm done. Alright. Study guide 31. I accidentally closed the question. Let me... Okay. I think I am done. Okay. This is a study guide question. Some students also have difficulties in solving this question because there are many fractions. Fractions as coefficients, fractions as powers. It looks difficult when you look at the question, but when you solve it, it is not as difficult as it seems. So let's start. F prime. So you have a coefficient, you keep the coefficient, multiply it by, there is a power. Bring down the power in front. 3 over 2 times sine, reduce the power by 1. 3 over 2 minus 1 is 1 over 2. Minus 2 over 7 is the coefficient stays, multiply by the power, which is 7 over 2, multiply it by sine function, whose power is 1 less than before. 7 over 2 minus 1, 5 over 2. So I can see some simplification. 3, 3, 2, 2, 7, 7, 2, 2. So at the end, I have sine half, sine to the power of half x, minus sine to the power of 5 over 2x. Am I done? I am done with taking the derivative. I am done with taking the derivative, but I can still... Actually, I am not done, excuse me. I didn't take the derivative of the function. Okay, I decreased the power by 1 and I was supposed to take derivative of the base. Derivative of sine is cosine minus okay. Now we cancel this. So I got sine 1 over 2 to the x times cosine x minus sine 5 over 2 times cosine x. So that's my answer. It looks like I'm done. I'm done taking the derivative, but I may keep going in simplifying because I can see a common factor here, cosine. Take cosine out. And I also see sine as a common factor. But how many sines is the common factor? When you look at the power, it's sine to the half, sine to the 5 over 2. So it looks like sine to the half is the common. So now put the rest in the bracket. Okay, I took everything here from this factor, from this term, so there's nothing left. That's 1 minus. I took cosine out, I took sine to the half out, so what is left? Sine squared is left. So cosine x times sine to the half x multiplied by, so what about this? How can I write 1 minus sine squared x? This is also an answer. This is also one of the answers that you may give. But in case you don't see this in the options, you can still keep factoring, keep simplifying. So 1 minus sine squared is one of the trigonometric identities that we studied in grade 11. So 1 minus sine squared is cosine squared. So we can write cosine squared instead. So that's equal to, I have cosine here, cosine squared here. So cosine cubed multiplied by sine to the half. So how can I write sine to the half? I can write sine to the half as square root of sine. It's the same, right? So as you can see, they're all correct answers. The answers are all correct. Any of these answers will be correct. Maybe the answer is different than what you get it. It actually might be equivalent, but just simplified a little bit so it looks different. So this one is an answer, this one is an answer, this one is also true, this is also true, that one is also true. They're all your answers. So the last step is up to the options. If you see this in options, so you should continue simplifying at the end. If this is the answer, so no need to keep going, you can stop. It's up to the options. Alright, and you need to also know some previous information from the previous grades. Okay, partial test 2D. So this is also one of the questions that some of the students may have has difficulties because there is pi and theta. It looks like there are two different variables, but they are not. You consider pi as a number. It's a number, it's a constant number, but theta is variable, like x. Okay, it's like x. So you treat theta as x, pi squared as a number, a constant number. Okay, let's take derivative. Derivative of sine is cosine multiplied by derivative of the inside. So what is pi squared theta's derivative? Theta is the variable. It's like, let's say 2 squared, like 3 squared x. What is the derivative of 3 squared x? Its derivative is just 3 squared, right? So you don't have x anymore. Similarly, pi squared will be the derivative of pi squared theta. Plus, derivative of cosine is minus sine multiplied by derivative of the angle. It's like, let's say 3x squared. What's the derivative of 3x squared? So you bring the power down in front. 2 times 3, 6x. So same idea. You bring the power down in front. So it is 2 pi theta derivative. Okay, let's clear things a bit. Let me rewrite this. If I write the derivative of the angle after the cosine and sine, I'm afraid you multiply it by the angle, so I'll put it in front. So for the first one, pi squared cosine pi squared theta minus the second one, 2 pi theta multiplied by sine pi theta squared. Okay, so that's the final answer. Let's move on with a mystery question. It's about composition. Let's find f composed with g of x. Let's find composition first. F of g of x. So we should put g into f, right? G is the inside power. Put it into f. Take g and put it into f. So it's 2 times function g squared, which is sine x squared. Now, we can take the derivative. What is the derivative of this? We have a coefficient. Coefficient stays. Bring down the power in front. Times 2 sine x to the power of 1 multiplied by derivative of the base, which is cosine x. Okay, I don't see this in options. 4 times sine times cosine. I don't. So I should rewrite it. How do I rewrite it? I can rewrite it by using one of the trigonometric identities, which says 2 times sine times cosine is sine 2x. Okay, and 2 in front. 2 sine 2x, which gives me option D. All right. Okay, last two rules. Not last two. Last one rule for trigonometric functions. Tangent function. We studied sine, cosine, and now tangent. So tangent trigonometric function rule is, we have two rules depending on the question, depending on the options. We either use the one that has cosine or the one that has tangent. It's up to the question. So derivative of tangent is derivative of the angle divided by cosine squared of the same angle, or derivative of the angle multiplied by 1 plus tan squared of the same angle. Okay, we have two different rules. They all they have the same result. Okay, tangent x. Derivative of tangent. If you write it with the cosine rule, derivative of the angle, which is 1, divided by cosine squared of the same angle. Or if you want to write the answer with tangent, so it's going to be derivative of angle 1 multiplied by 1 plus tangent squared of the same angle. Pretty simple if you don't confuse with the rules. So here, exercise question. 3 is the coefficient it stays. Multiply it by derivative of the angle. Derivative of pi x squared is 2 pi x divided by cosine squared of the same angle. When you simplify it, 6 pi x over cosine squared pi x squared. Okay, or if you use tangent, derivative of the angle, 2 pi x multiplied by 1 plus derivative of tangent squared of the same angle. And I forgot the coefficient. Coefficient stays. 3 by 2, 6 pi x in a bracket, 1 plus tan squared pi x squared. Okay, so these are the questions involving tangent. So I think in this video I just explained sine, cosine, and tangent. I don't have enough time to explain the others, so we have two more rules left. I'll explain the other rules in the following video.